This page is the front cover of Famimaga 64. The cover features a collection of Yoshis, in various colors, along with text promoting several games. It mentions the release of Dragon Quest for the Game Boy, as well as Nintendo 64 and Super Famicom games. It also highlights Konami's upcoming releases, including JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 5, NBA Program.asp, and Hyper Olympic and Nagano 64. Additionally, the cover teases information on Pocket Monsters Gold and Silver, Zero X, and the Pokémon movie production announcement. There's also a section dedicated to The Legend of Zelda, with secrets and a complete map guide. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Aerogauge. It highlights the game's futuristic urban racing and boasts about its sense of speed. The ad also promotes the gold and silver versions of the ASC 2-pad 64 controller, which are scheduled to be released alongside the game on December 19th. The game boasts 64 MB room, controller pack support and backup functionality. There will be test play sessions at stores nationwide. The next page is a full-page advertisement for the game Aerogauge. It emphasizes the game's high-speed anti-gravity 3D racing set on diverse courses. The ad also mentions that up to 2 players can compete simultaneously and features the slogans, Near-Future Vertical and Horizontal Unfettered Aerial Race. This page features a variety of content related to Nintendo 64 and other older games. The page starts with a spec table How to Read, detailing how to interpret game information, including console abbreviations, software information, genres, and backup methods. The page highlights Yoshi's story for the N64, touting a comprehensive guide with impressions from 2 players, and reviews from Shigeru Miyamoto and Nei Yuki. Diddy Kong Racing for the N64 is also featured, with a complete map of all 21 courses, including balloon and silver coin locations. There's a section announcing a year-end, New Year All catalog, featuring 25 N64 games, 1 SFC game, and 20 GB games, along with a 50 soft present. The page also mentions Famimaga League, hot opening, for a baseball game, asking if players' chosen athletes can participate, mentioning Powerful Pro Baseball 4, with a success mode complete capture, and background information. Additionally, there is content on Pokémon League, with an interview with Tajiri. A section announces the latest maker report for the N64, including Aerogauge and Hyper Baseball King 2 City 2000. The page includes sections for Famimaga 64 Ranking Box, Journal News, RGB Maniac, Reader's Questionnaire and Presents, Super Ultra Techniques, and a new work calendar. This page is a contents page for a magazine, likely a gaming publication given the titles mentioned. Starting with Game Boy, it highlights Dragon Quest Monsters, teasing a thorough analysis of the latest installment's story, system, and graphics, comparing it to Terry's Wonderland. The Nintendo 64 section teases a scoop on The Legend of Zelda, promising 100 secrets. It also mentions news on the Pokémon movie, including its production announcement and the introduction of silver and gold versions for the Game Boy. There's a blurb on Zero X and Hyper Olympic and Nagano 64 showcasing gameplay modes. JIKU Powerful Pro Yakyu 5 is also mentioned, noting the revival of the scenario mode. NBA in the Zone 98 is listed, confirming the release date and final stages of development. Other titles include GASP Fighters Nextreme, Famista 64, Top Gear Rally, and 64 Uzumo Sumo. The page concludes with contact information for advertising and technical inquiries. The next page is an advertisement for Dragon Quest Monsters Terry's Wonderland for the Game Boy. The ad highlights 3 key aspects of the game. The protagonist is a young Terry, monster taming, and the ever-changing adventure world. The text emphasizes that this game tells the story of Terry, the swordsman who appeared in Dragon Quest VI during his childhood adventures. It expresses that the protagonist is Terry as a child, appearing more cute than handsome. A screenshot shows Terry and another character, possibly Millie, from Dragon Quest VI, in a scene reminiscent of their childhood home. This page is an exciting preview of Dragon Quest Monsters Terry's Wonderland, a new type of Dragon Quest game. The game features Terry in a mysterious place called Taiju no Kuni, where he becomes a monster master and embarks on an adventure. He can befriend monsters and explore an unknown world. Over 200 types of monsters appear in the game, The page also features screenshots of gameplay and introduces new monsters. We get a glimpse of Terry's stats and party composition in a battle scene that also highlights the mission and responsibilities of a monster master. The next page delves into the nuances of monster companions in Dragon Quest Monsters, Terry's Wonderland. It emphasizes the journey of befriending, adventuring, and raising monsters to become powerful allies. The page explains how to encounter and recruit monsters, either by defeating them in battle or through special in-game events. It highlights the A-driven combat system, where players can issue strategic commands to their monsters, influencing their behavior in battle. The growth of monsters is explored, noting that their personalities affect their stats and abilities as they level up through combat. The page also hints at the possibility of customizing monster characteristics through strategic battle choices. Screenshots illustrate gameplay, showcasing battle scenes and the stats of various monsters like the dragon and the Big Eye's damage output, highlighting the individuality each monster possesses. This page from Famimaga 64 magazine explores the world and travel doors of Dragon Quest Monsters, Terry's Wonderland. The travel doors lead to various worlds that change each time you visit, from forests and towns to various other locations. The travel doors connect different worlds, and even though you may go through the same travel door, you may end up in a cave, a mountain, or some other environment. The screenshots show various gameplay areas, such as a maze-like dungeon, a mountain area, and a castle entrance. It explains how to find items in the field, which the player can find a bell on the ground, which is how the items are obtained. The reviewer wonders what kind of sound it will make, or what color it will be. The page also points out a person living in a tree, and speculates that they might be a monster master besides Terry. The reviewer notes that there might be a monster shopkeeper located somewhere that offers direct sales. The next page is a full-page advertisement for Yoshi's Story, showcasing the game's unique visuals and story elements, promising a can't-miss experience with commentary from Shigeru Miyamoto and Hideki Kono, all to reveal the secrets of Yoshi. This page is an advertisement for Yoshi's Story. The advert teases the game's storyline, where Baby Bowser has trapped the world within a picture book and stolen the Yoshi's happiness. 6 lucky Yoshis escape and must work together to restore happiness to the world. It highlights the game's unique visual style and cheerful gameplay, emphasizing the importance of teamwork and restoring happiness. The next page is a guide to Yoshi's story on the Nintendo 64, focusing on Yoshi's actions and how they've been powered up in this installment. It shows the basic actions of Yoshi, such as eating, jumping, and stomping, and explains how the egg throw attack has been improved. The guide details how Yoshi can eat almost anything with the B button, and how throwing eggs is now more precise using the 3D stick. It also demonstrates the destructive power of Yoshi's egg bombs, capable of breaking rocks. The text highlights that when Yoshi throws an egg, the crosshairs indicates the point of impact. This page continues the guide to Yoshi's story on the Nintendo 64, focusing on the different jumping and swimming abilities. The page highlights Yoshi's unique jumps, emphasizing the amazing jumping power activated with the A button to defeat enemies. Holding the A button while jumping allows Yoshi to stomp jump to gain extra height and clear obstacles. The guide also covers Yoshi's swimming, emphasizing that swimming is Yoshi's specialty, which allows him to swim up, down, left, and right, and the text mentions underwater acrobatics. The page includes comments from Shigeru Miyamoto and Yuki. Yuki is impressed with Yoshi's sounds and actions. Miyamoto notes the effort made to bring the 3D experience to life, and the new elements incorporated in the game's staging. The next page is a guide to the various rideable objects in Yoshi's story on the Nintendo 64. It highlights that not everything in the stages is an obstacle, and there are items to help Yoshi. The page showcases 4 rideable objects: the propeller lift, where Yoshi shifts his weight to control the direction; the hell lift, where Yoshi can change direction by jumping; the parasol, which allows Yoshi to float slowly; and the Yura Yura, which sways from side to side. The surfing board type can be moved up and down, and it says it's like riding the waves, but says not Yura Yura but like swish swish. The page also includes screenshots of Yoshi using these items in different stages, and notes that some stages require careful balance. It emphasizes that these items require skillful 3D stick manipulation. This page continues the guide to Yoshi's story, focusing on interactive elements and rideable objects. It begins by stating that Yoshi cannot be directly controlled. The game relies on the rideable objects and the items he finds to help him progress through the levels. However, it notes that not all of these items are helpful, Some are traps set by Baby Bowser. The guide features several of these items, including the dragon which moves through the air, requiring precise controls to avoid enemies. The tongue-lashing blocks, marked with "Boo!" that Yoshi can latch onto with his tongue to reach new areas. Poochie, the dog who helps Yoshi after being rescued, guiding him through the stages. A joke is included as Poochie is smarter now. There's also a section dedicated to the Neuron, rideable creatures that move in different ways depending on their color. The 4 types are shown: red, expands and contracts; yellow, stretches vertically; blue, inclines diagonally; purple, moves horizontally. The page includes comments from Shigeru Miyamoto and Yuki, who talk about the 3D stick controls and the balance required to use the rideable items effectively. The page concludes by emphasizing the variety of rideable objects in the game. The next page delves into the Shy Guy enemies from Yoshi's story. It presents them as somewhat annoying but also strangely endearing monsters. The page highlights the different variations of Shy Guys and their behaviors within the game. It describes the basic Shy Guy and notes the different colored Shy Guys and their abilities, and mentions a Shy Guy nest area. There are also the different types of Shy Guys: bamboo dancers who rhythmically move poles to block Yoshi, spring Shy Guys that bounce around, stilt Shy Guys who attack, and snowball Shy Guys. Propeller Shy Guys also fly and attack with fruit. Finally, a strategy is given to deal with the Shy Guys who attack in groups, and mentions that you can avoid them or eat them. This page features the monsters of Yoshi's story, declaring that in addition to the familiar faces, new and more formidable monsters await Yoshi. It showcases several of these enemies, including Unpapa, a lava-dwelling creature that becomes discouraged when hit with an egg; Flying Packen, a hungry foe that tries to devour Yoshi; Dokosa that quickly chases and slowly runs away; the turret Puku that spits water at Yoshi; Gaobon, which throws spiky blue balls; and Jugem, who throws various items including fruit. Also mentioned is the killer from the Mario series, along with an Unabon, which apparently restores a lot of life, and the skeletal dragon Honor Yu, which breathes fire and is vulnerable to hip drops. Finally, we also have Big Crin. The bottom of the page contains comments from Shigeru Miyamoto and Yuki Nakaki about the monsters. Miyamoto states that the team created many unique and enjoyable monsters that players should appreciate. Nakaki expresses that the monsters aren't really scary, but have strange and somewhat disturbing faces, and suggests imagining Shy Guy's face without its mask. This page is a guide to the game mechanics in Yoshi's story, focusing on how to make Yoshi happy by eating his favorite fruits. It emphasizes that eating fruits is the key to saving the world, and mentions that melons are Yoshi's favorite. The page explains how to acquire fruits by simply eating them, collecting coins and small hearts to increase the score, and defeating enemies who either carry fruits or are surrounded by them in bubbles. It also details the smiley meter, which increases when Yoshi eats fruits, boosting his health. The meter is indicated by flowers on the upper left of the screen that grow with each fruit consumed. However, eating certain monsters, like the Gufuchos, when they're blue, can make Yoshi unhappy and damage him. It notes that these unpleasant monsters are avoided at all costs. Finally, taking damage from the flower enemies will cause the player to fail. The next page delves into the mechanics of Yoshi's story, highlighting the selection of Yoshi's colors and the importance of lucky fruits. You begin by choosing one of 6 differently colored Yoshi characters, whose primary difference is their color. After selecting Yoshi, the game begins, and the page highlights that rescuing the world is the ultimate goal. It also explains that the lucky fruit selection affects the odds of certain fruits appearing. Eating the chosen lucky fruit or others of the same color awards extra points, contributing to Yoshi's overall happiness. The page also describes the game's overall goal to eat 30 fruits to clear each stage, and there are no boss fights. Melons, Yoshi's favorite, are especially important, with 30 available in each stage, potentially leading to additional events. The Nikoniko meter is detailed, explaining that if Yoshi takes too much damage and it drops to 0, he gets taken to Bowser's castle, resulting in a game over if all Yoshis are captured. Finally, there are brief comments from Shigeru Miyamoto and Yuki Matsuoka. Miyamoto describes the game as accessible to all skill levels, with a deep gameplay system, and Yuki notes the fun of exploring the stages while searching for fruits, comparing it to a leisurely stroll. This page introduces Yoshi's story and highlights its 24 stages, all set within a storybook world. The page explains that each of the game's 6 pages begins with 4 stages, starting from page 1. Clearing one of the stages leads to a choice of stage on the next page. By getting a big heart in each page, you can unlock the option to select more stages. Each stage has a total of 3 hidden big hearts. There are dice with numbers written on them, which serve as stages. The page then highlights beginning page 1, which consists of a mix of cardboard art, patchwork, and wooden backgrounds. There are 4 stage types: search for Pochi and treasure, get surprised with Biglin, ride over the high tower, and super rail lift. Players will encounter giant Biglin-like monsters, and it is recommended to master the 3D stick controls here. It also shows gameplay mechanics, such as using a hip drop to spin objects, or using the Yoshi character to pass through obstacles, and paper route changes. The next page delves deeper into Yoshi's story, beginning with the 4 stages that comprise Lost Child. The second page features levels: the Bone Dragon's Hole, Unpoached Egg's Place, Jelly-Filled Pipe, and Angry Maze. These stages are described as darker and more mysterious than the opening levels, featuring dungeons and pipes. Players will encounter giant monsters like Unpoached Egg and Bone Dragon. One screenshot warns about being caught in a lava flow, while another advises players to jump to avoid an emerging unpoached egg. The third page focuses on sky-based stages, where falling results in an instant game over. The levels here include Through the Clouds, Try Hard in the Cold, High Rise of Question Blocks, and Centipede's Annoyance. The page emphasizes the importance of timed jumps. Propeller-riding Shy Guys fly through the air, and a distant snow-capped mountain is visible. Snowball-throwing Shy Guys are present, but cannot be attacked. A screenshot shows Yoshi riding a red dragon-like snake over clouds. Another screenshot explains that boxes with melons can be carried to certain locations, allowing Yoshi to eat his favorite fruit. This page continues with Yoshi's story, focusing on jungle and underwater stages. The jungle stages on page 4 are Gabon's House, Jungle Pond, Pakun's Hometown, and Jungle Nirolan, described as labyrinthine and filled with mysterious monsters and creatures. There is a warning about getting lost and running around in circles as if you are on a real jungle adventure. The underwater stages on page 5 are Klagabon, the Jellyfish, Lots of Fish, Bamboo Dancers, and Hey-Ho's Pirate Ship. It points out that Yoshi's controls change in the water, making quick turns difficult, and advising players to observe enemy movements carefully before acting. The page highlights the stages as being authentic underwater stages. There are tips on dealing with water drop monsters, finding melons, and escaping from Klagabon's tentacles. The next page is titled Yoshi's Story, and focuses on the last 6 pages of the game, set within a castle filled with traps more terrifying than the monsters themselves. The page showcases various deadly traps: a propeller Hey-Ho dropping dangerous objects, saw blades, and pipes spewing lava. It also humorously points out the placement of melons near traps and rotating gears. The page features interviews with Shigeru Miyamoto, who explains that the game was designed to offer replayability, and that the stages were crafted with creative freedom, and Yuki, who notes the deceptively challenging nature of the game's graphics. She comments on the effort required for the game, and the satisfaction of overcoming obstacles with creative use of Yoshi's abilities. This Top Secret Information Revealed guide reveals Ocarina of Time secrets, including controls explained by Shigeru Miyamoto. The Q and A format details Link's movement, 3D stick, shield usage, R trigger, targeting, Z trigger, camera control, C buttons, and various actions, B and A buttons. Holding the A button charges a spin attack, and different sword swings exist. Magic, bows, slingshots, and other items also provide attack options. The D-pad is not used. The next page is an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto about The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Interviewer Neyuki asks questions about the game, discussing topics like the Estel trigger button being for options, the auto-jump feature, and how Link's movements change based on the terrain. Miyamoto explains that HP decreasing might result in Link moving slower, and describes how to ride a horse. You approach it, press B when prompted, and use carrots, obtained by whipping the horse, for boosts. He clarifies horse riding is restricted to adult Link. He also talks about the function of Navi, the fairy, who gives commands based on the situation. In battle, a red Z indicates points of interest. Finally, he briefly touches on the Rumble Pack feature. This section of a guide provides answers to questions about items in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It covers the durability of the Deku Stick, the function of the Deku Nut and Slingshot, and arrow strength limitations. Information on the Megaton Hammer, keys, maps, and spiritual stones is included. Using the Ocarina to travel to the Temple of Time, requiring the spiritual stones, is detailed. The guide also touches upon differences between the long shot and short shot, shield patterns, bomb usage, Kuko item potential, Link's inventory, item differences between child and adult Link, the Wind Medallion, magic button functions, and the overall number of usable items. The guide notes that potions come in bottles. The next page contains a section called The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time Secrets 100. It focuses on various aspects of Link's character and the game's story. It starts with Link's background, including his age, which is around 78 years old as a child and 15 as an adult. It explores some secrets about Link, such as whether his earrings have any special meaning, and confirms that they don't. It also covers topics like Link's height, weight, and expressions. The page discusses Link's family, explaining that he is a Kokiri, a race of forest spirits that disappear as they age. It touches on the differences between adult and child Link, and how future events might change during the gameplay, and how he grows stronger over time by getting new items. It mentions that the game doesn't focus on love relationships between Zelda and Link, and also explores the role of the Triforce and questions around who decides names like Hyrule. The page concludes with the notion of what the game settings are based on and what models are used in Zelda. This page showcases a Monster Edition section that highlights several enemies appearing in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. It starts with the graphic changes to the Poe enemy, noting that the different types don't matter too much. The reviewer describes the Goma, an enemy that appears in the game, as a crab-spider hybrid that spawns eggs. The article confirms the Stalfons are wearing boots, and their armor has been graphically upgraded. It also discusses how the strength of enemies may vary depending on their equipment. The size of the Dodongo is described, and how it was made and adjusted for the game. It touches on the size of boss characters and how many would appear in the game. The next section highlights the Degu Baba and their weakness. It follows up with the fact that some enemies are invisible, unless viewed with a certain item. It also covers how the enemies will disappear when defeated, and why they chose to make them disappear instead of remain. It also mentions there are enemies that can't be cut with the sword. It then describes the Ganondorf character as a thief, and touches on if blood appears when enemies are struck. It asks if enemies ride horses, and if a doppelganger will appear. Finally, Miyamoto's favorite monster is covered, and it is revealed that he wants to create a character that is neither friend nor foe. This, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, article, details game development specifics. Towns feature inns and shops, but focus on atmosphere. Link is a fairy, not human, with Kokiri-inspired attire. The title is finalized, and the 64DD version is considered, but not confirmed. Puzzles are planned, and Rumble Pack use is uncertain. Link primarily travels on horseback. Cutscenes use acting and varied lighting, emphasizing Link's fairy-inspired features. Graphics are crucial to the game's deep world, with varied shooting methods. The music will be environmental and orchestral. Link has no girlfriend, but Navi has some jealousy. The game is approximately 90% complete, with debugging ongoing, and the team anticipates reaching 70 to 80% completion soon. While a January release is preferred, December is unlikely. The series will continue, with no sci-fi elements, but future plans are unspecified. The next page is a promotional article about the theatrical release of Pokémon the First Movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, slated for summer 1998. The article also mentions the companion short film, Pikachu's Summer Vacation. The original TV series director, Kunihiko Yuyama, is directing. The article highlights the popularity of the Pokemon franchise, noting the impressive sales figures for the games and related merchandise. The page includes screenshots from the movie, a picture of the cast and crew including voice actors such as Sachiko Kobayashi and Aiko Sato, and a promotional image featuring a battle between Ash and Mewtwo. The article also mentions a scene from Pokemon Gold and Silver, hinting that the film might reveal secrets about the upcoming games. Finally, the page features a Pikachu cartoon with speech bubble and the words, "Pika, am I the main character?" This page is a preview of Pokémon Gold and Silver, focusing on new features and characters. The article highlights the increasing number of trainers to battle, showcasing a female trainer in a kimono holding a Pokéball. Speculation arises about a potential Pokémon Center location, and the hero's large two-story house. The page introduces a new character, a mysterious old man, as well as a new team of trainers. One interesting feature is that Pokémon can have different colors within the same species, such as a black Pikachu or a purple Pippi. The text also mentions fishing for Pokémon and the possibility of different colored Pokéballs. The article also questions whether the normal Pikachu is yellow and wonders about other Pikachu variations that might appear. The next page is a feature on 0x, previewing the characters and graphics of the game. It mentions the game is in active development with new screenshots and character profiles. A change highlighted is the addition of pilot faces to the heads-up display, showing the top 6 racers. The page also includes screenshots of 4 player battles and loop courses. The page introduces 4 characters: Mr. Ed, Baba, Drive Stewart, and Pico. It shows their vehicles, the Great Star, Iron Tiger, Golden Fox, and Wild Goose, respectively, and includes short descriptions of each character. The article also mentions a possible vibration pack feature, and that the release date and price are yet to be determined. This page, titled Nintendo Power, is a feature on games available for the Super Famicom's downloadable service. It notes that the service, available at Lawson convenience stores, is expanding with more titles. The focus is on 3 new games: Heisei no Onigashima from Nintendo, and Dokusei 2 from Banpresto. Heisei no Onigashima is an adventure game originally released for the disk system and later broadcast on Satellaview. There are adjustments to the game's difficulty and story. Dokusei 2 is a port of the popular PC adventure game, with Banpresto aiming for a high-quality adaptation. The page shows screenshots from Heisei no Onigashima and features characters. There are details about specific scenarios, such as exploring a house and encountering characters from the game. There's also a comment about Takemasa Idei's character designs in the Dokusei 2 port. The lower half of the page lists various Super Famicom titles available on the service with their memory sizes. Some of the listed games include RPG Tool, Arenas, The Great War, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, The Earthlight, and Dokusei 2, to name a few. It also mentions that new titles are marked in red, and that the cost to rewrite the cartridge is 3,000 yen, otherwise 1,000 yen. This page, titled Nintendo Report, introduces Hyper Olympic in Nagano 64 for the Nintendo 64. The game features 2 modes, a championship mode with 7 events, and an Olympic mode where players can compete in individual events. Championship mode focuses on accumulating points across events like snowboarding, speed skating, halfpipe, ski jumping, freestyle skiing, bobsleigh, and downhill skiing. Olympic mode allows players to select from 12 events, including curling. The page also features screenshots from the game, including skiing, snowboarding, baseball, basketball, and boxing, and highlights that players can aim for the podium and win gold medals in all events. Finally, the page mentions other Konami Nintendo 64 titles, including baseball, basketball, and boxing. The release date is December 18th, with a suggested price of 6,800 yen. This page provides an overview of the controls and techniques for several events in Konami's Hyper Olympic in Nagano 64 on the Nintendo 64. It details the 4 main control types in the game: standard control using the 3D stick for subtle adjustments to angle and direction, command input, which combines the 3D stick and AB buttons, control plus timing, where button press timing is critical, and rapid button pressing. The page then delves into specific events, starting with curling, highlighting the importance of strategy. It explains how to use the 3D stick to control power and direction when delivering a stone, noting that skillful maneuvering and knocking opponents' stones out of the way are crucial. The snowboard halfpipe section stresses learning command inputs to perform tricks and earning high scores based on the difficulty of the tricks. A screenshot shows the command input. Next, freestyle aerials are covered, emphasizing precise timing on jumps and rapid button presses to gain height. Lastly, it describes bobsleigh, where players must press A to start and then rapidly press B, while coordinating the timing of all 4 racers to avoid the walls and maintain speed. This page is an article covering Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 5 for the Super Famicom. The page highlights new features in Powerful Pro Baseball 5, showing screenshots and information on gameplay, modes, and character updates. It notes that the game's visuals have been improved. The game is slated for release in March 1998, and notes the price and controller pack are yet to be determined. The article mentions that the game features updated player data, and the scenario mode is making a return. It notes the return of fan-favorite scenarios from previous Super Famicom versions. The page contains game screenshots and character art. The game's settings, such as computer strength, innings, and error settings, are detailed. The next page is a Konami report. It details GASP Fighters Nextstream, a 3D fighting game where you can create your own character in edit mode. The article goes over the edit mode in more detail, mentioning you can freely edit names and the ability to customize the character's gender, hairstyle, physique, and even more detailed settings. Players can acquire new techniques by battling existing characters. The page also covers NBA in the Zone 98, a basketball game featuring real NBA players, rendered in 3D full polygons, allowing for viewing from various angles. Super plays like back dunks and double clutches are highlighted. Players can edit character hair and physiques. The game uses 96-97 season data and 98 team uniforms and courts. The release date is January 29, 1998, and the price is 7,800 yen. This page is about Famista 64 for the Nintendo 64, with the headline, Fastest Strategy Guide. It covers tips on how to build the strongest team, emphasizing the importance of scouting and acquiring good players. It advises players to focus on recruiting talented players and making them your allies. It also mentions using transportation methods to reduce time loss and ensuring you know the destination. The page also details minigames, mentioning that the drawing game is difficult and the snowball fight favors using snowmen and snowball making. Additionally, the page lists some of the team members based on their prefecture, like Shizuoka's Teat, Saitama's Biel, foreign members, and Fukuoka's Teat. It also includes travel advice. The next page features team rosters for Famista 64, a baseball game, complete with player names and their place of origin for teams like Giants, Hanshin, Chunichi, Yokohama, Hiroshima, Yakult, Lotte, Kintetsu, Nippon Ham, Daiei, Seibu, and Orix. Also includes a scouting report section, highlighting potential new players and their attributes, with taglines like, awaiting a new lefty pitcher for Shizuoka, and Hama's idol for Hyogo. The next page is an advertisement for Top Gear Rally, a racing game for the Nintendo 64. It highlights a coloring contest and customization features, including the ability to paint cars. The game features different weather conditions, various car types, and 9 different cars to select. The page shows in-game screenshots with commentary. This page features a coloring contest for Top Gear Rally on the Nintendo 64, encouraging players to design and submit their own car color schemes. It emphasizes using in-game icons for customization, offering tips for creating unique designs. The page also introduces 2 image girls, Yoshida Shinobu and Kitayama Eri, who are promoting the game and are also gamers. The page includes images of them playing the game and promoting the contest, along with instructions on how to submit designs. The next page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game 64 Ozumo, 64 Great Sumo Wrestling. It highlights the Yokozuna Success Mode, where players can train their own sumo wrestler. The game features events and training to improve stats, with the goal of reaching the Yokozuna rank. The page also mentions mini-games for stat boosts and includes screenshots of gameplay and wrestler development screens. The release date is listed as November 28th, with a price of 7,980 yen. This page dives deeper into 64 Ozumo, 64 Great Sumo Wrestling, focusing on how to effectively train your wrestler in Yokozuna Success Mode. It details the importance of choosing a wrestler with balanced stats in mind, and deciding whether to focus on their strengths or weaknesses. Winning bouts improves stats, with special moves earning bonus rewards. The page also mentions random events that can further enhance your wrestler. There's a section dedicated to minigames for stat boosts, and the importance of collecting stars to unlock new techniques. It also describes how to use passwords to share your created wrestlers. Screenshots show different training screens, minigames, and wrestlers with a cute anime art style. Finally, it teases a reader submission contest for the best trained wrestlers, with more details in the next issue. The next page is an advertisement for Chameleon Twist on the Nintendo 64, It highlights the high-voltage screaming action of the game and announces a boss character naming contest where the name Marble Kid, submitted by Akiroto from Osaka, has been chosen. The page features images of the character Marble Kid and mentions it appears in a world called Antland, where players must defeat enemies by first knocking them over and then attacking them with their tongue. It also notes that in one area, players must face 2 Marble Kids at the same time to progress to the next area. This page features a look at the multiplayer modes in Chameleon Twist for the Nintendo 64. The game features 6 stages with 20-30 small rooms each. It showcases 4 stages. Jungle Land, a simple starting area where players learn the ropes. Bomb Land, filled with explosive dangers. Desert Castle, a stage with traps and moving spears. And Antland, a subterranean world with many ants and collapsing platforms. The multiplayer mode offers Survival Match, where players knock opponents off the stage to be the last one standing. And Time Trial, a quick match to see who can finish fastest. The page also promotes a time attack contest, inviting players to record their best times and send in VHS or 8mm tapes for a chance to win prizes. The next page is an article on Aero Gauge for the Nintendo 64. It promotes the upcoming release of Aero Gauge, highlighting the game's challenging courses and obstacles, featuring training courses with dangerous points, such as uphill sections, tube sections, bank curves, and narrow entrances, with advice on how to tackle each section. It mentions the importance of mastering the tube sections, with their ups and downs, and the need to keep speed. The page also warns about sudden curves and hazards that can damage the player's aero machine. This page introduces the 5 pilots and their aero machines in Aero Gauge. First, we have Zero with the Groove Rider, sponsored by Ibufuya. The pilot, Ibufu Shinano, is the daughter of the company president. Next is Ryu Hajime with the Interceptor/Prague, a former professional boxing champion. Ryu transitioned to piloting at 22. Drossel Jungle Pilots, the Jespex/Zetmart. Her sponsor, Linkage, runs a training facility for pilots and mechanics. Drossel herself is a graduate with a background in psychology. The 4th pilot is Fusaha, who pilots the Black Lightning, sponsored by Daiko. He is a current Brazilian Air Force pilot. Finally, there's Will Bonney with the Meet Kreia/Okelward. He is a former Space Shuttle crew member. The next page is an introduction to the RPG L-Tile, tentative title, for the N64. It details how to grow your MP by defeating enemies. The article explains that MP is increased by acquiring attribute experience through defeating enemies in battles. You can increase the overall experience value by integrating 4 attributes. Multiple attributes can be gained by defeating enemies with different attributes, and if you defeat an enemy with multiple attributes, you can gain more than 1 attribute experience at once. It shows screenshots from the game and explains that after winning a battle and the total experience value reaches a certain point, MP up is displayed. The article highlights the main character's movements, such as running, dashing, and standing still. It notes how the character's ponytail wags in a cute fashion. The text mentions that when the character is investigating something, they look around, as if they are looking for something. This page introduces the new and create modes in Hyperspace Niter Pro Baseball King 2 for the N64, scheduled for release in January 1998. The basic controls are carried over from the previous game, with updated data and a new create mode. The edit mode has also been enhanced with a new draft system for power-ups. The edit mode allows for detailed settings, including facial features. You can train players from high school to become professionals. The page also introduces SimCity 2000 for the N64, a simulation game scheduled for release on December 21st. This version includes enhancements such as faster scrolling and improved icons, as well as new elements like romance simulation. The romance simulation allows players to interact with 4 girls, go on dates, and potentially marry them. It also explains the 3-chapter story mode, the first being the planet arc, where you get used to the game. The second chapter is set in space, where you live in a space colony, and it mentions there are mini-games. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Snowboard Kids. It highlights the game's action sports racing gameplay for 14 players and a release date of December 12, 1997. Key features include collecting money to purchase items, performing basic tricks, and utilizing 3 types of boards. The ad also mentions vibration pack support and lists the retail price as 6,800 yen. This page is a guide for the Nintendo 64 game Diddy Kong Racing, focusing on mastering the game's adventure mode boss battles. It provides tips on starting boosts, banana item collection, dash plate usage, and item balloon strategies to improve gameplay. The guide advises players to perfect their techniques to outmaneuver rivals, emphasizing skills such as timing starts and using rainbow smoke dashes. It also highlights the importance of collecting bananas to increase speed, and strategically using item balloons like the Ojama and Dash varieties to disrupt opponents or gain an advantage. The next page provides a guide for navigating the adventure mode in Diddy Kong Racing, focusing on accessing different zones. It outlines the locations of hidden entrances like those behind waterfalls and in caves, essential for progressing through the game. The page details how to access zones such as the hidden entrance behind the waterfall and the cave on the right side after exiting the snow zone. It also emphasizes the importance of collecting 38 gold balloons to face Wizpig, detailing how to obtain these balloons through races, try-out challenges, and hidden locations within Timber Island. The guide includes tips on using flags as landmarks and finding subtly placed balloons, along with explanations of course map symbols for silver coins, item balloons, and dash plates. This page is a course guide for Diddy Kong Racing, specifically focusing on Sunshine Lake in the Dino Domain. It outlines strategies for the Gold Balloon Challenge, recommending the use of dash plates for speed, and the Silver Coin Challenge, advising a route that collects all 8 coins located in the center of the course. The guide also offers tips on avoiding the dinosaur obstacles. Course map symbols are explained, detailing the location of silver coins, item balloons, dash balloons, missile balloons, shield balloons, and magnetic balloons. The next page continues, the Diddy Kong Racing Course Guide, now covering the 2 zones of Dino Domain. The first zone is Ancient Lake, needing 2 gold balloons and 7 silver coins to unlock. It provides strategies for the Gold Balloon Challenge, which requires using dash plates to jump over the lake for a shortcut. For the Silver Coin Challenge, it advises using the shortcut to get coin 4, then collecting coins 7 and 8 on the same lap. The second zone is Jungle Falls, which needs 3 gold balloons and 8 silver coins to unlock. The guide focuses on using the 4 dash plates placed on the course's edge, recommending drifting to avoid missing them. It also suggests touching the vehicle's tail against the coin on the tail when drifting to collect coins in difficult spots, warning about falling into the pond when trying to rush the shot. This page continues with Diddy Kong Racing, offering stage guides for 2 more zones. The first zone is Zara's Zone, which includes the stage Magma Mountain, which requires 5 gold balloons and 10 silver coins. The guide provides strategies for the Gold Balloon Challenge, which emphasizes using dash plates to get ahead. For the Silver Coin Challenge, it advises caution at branching points. The second zone is Snow Zone, and includes the stage Frozen Mountain, which requires 2 gold balloons and 10 silver coins. The guide recommends utilizing dash balloons for the Gold Balloon Challenge and provides strategies for the Silver Coin Challenge, advising players to collect coins 7 and 8 in 2 separate laps. The next page continues, the Diddy Kong Racing Strategy Guide, moving on to the Snow Zone area. It details 2 stages, Snow Coaster, requiring 3 gold balloons and 11 silver coins, and Snowy Land, which needs 6 gold balloons and 14 silver coins. The guide gives advice for both gold balloon and silver coin challenges, including taking shortcuts and using items effectively. Dash plates, drifts, and shield balloons are highlighted as beneficial tools. The guide highlights specific coins that require special techniques, like using tail slides or getting them on separate laps. This page features strategies for Diddy Kong Racing. It covers the Snow Zone, specifically Christmas Village, requiring 9 gold balloons and 16 silver coins, and Tropical Zone, known as Whale Beach, which needs 10 gold balloons and 17 silver coins, with maps for each course. For Christmas Village, the guide recommends taking the left side of the forest for a shortcut, emphasizing the use of 3 consecutive dash plates. For the Gold Balloon Challenge, it is advised to utilize dash plates and to avoid straying to the right side of the course. The Silver Coin Challenge strategy involves taking shortcuts from the second lap onward, using tail slides near a house, and ensuring not to miss the dash plate immediately after. For Whale Beach, the Gold Balloon Challenge strategy involves riding a whale for a shortcut, using 2 dash plates at the start, and jumping on a whale's back to traverse the shipwreck deck. The Silver Coin Challenge for Whale Beach advises against taking the shortcut on the first lap to collect specific coins on the shipwreck sides and tips, and suggests focusing on the shortcut from the second lap to escape. The next page details strategies for Diddy Kong Racing's Tropical Zone. It covers 2 courses: Crescent Island, which requires 11 gold balloons and 18 silver coins, and Pirate Lagoon, which needs 13 gold balloons and 20 silver coins, complete with course maps. For Crescent Island, the guide advises mastering sharp turns. In the Silver Coin Challenge, it recommends consistently getting coin number 6, taking different routes on the first and second laps, and being cautious of the coin on the ship's deck. For Pirate Lagoon, the guide suggests not missing the final dash plate for the Gold Balloon Challenge. For the Silver Coin Challenge, it advises against using hover to rapidly corner and lose speed. It is crucial to collect coins number 2 and number 4 while drifting. A jump is needed on lap 3. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing Strategy Guide, focusing on the Tropical Zone and Dragon Zone courses. For the Tropical Zone's Treasure Dome course, players need 16 gold balloons and 22 silver coins. Tips are provided on using dash jumps to gain an advantage and being aware of hidden coins in the Silver Coin Challenge. For the Dragon Zone's Bumper Valley, players need 16 gold balloons and 23 silver coins. The guide recommends maximizing the use of Ojama, nuisance, balloons. It suggests using dash balloons right after the start for a rocket start, and using Ojama balloons just before the dash plates. Tips are also given on how to get coin 1 and 6 on the second lap, and coin 6 in the waterfall on lap 2. The next page is still about Diddy Kong Racing, giving a strategy guide for the Dragon Zone, covering the Greenwood Village and River Palace courses. For Greenwood Village, players need 17 gold balloons and 24 silver coins. The guide focuses on using shortcuts and drift techniques. It advises entering the well in the plaza for a shortcut, drifting through turns, and taking 4 faraway course coins in the first lap, as well as getting the remaining coins on the second lap. For River Palace, 20 gold balloons and 30 silver coins are needed. The guide stresses running a line that avoids the rotating logs. Tips include hitting the bell in the square to raise the bridge, hindering opponents, and using the left path at course splits for a shortcut. It suggests running along the course edges, especially during big turns, to take the coins. Also, it tells you to avoid the spinning logs and vehicle slowdowns by taking large curves. This page continues the Diddy Kong Racing Strategy Guide, now covering Dragon Zone and Ghost Woods. For Dragon Zone, the guide focuses on the Gold Balloon Challenge, which requires 22 gold balloons and 37 silver coins. It emphasizes not missing 2 dash plates, which are easy to overlook. It advises using course maps to check positions, and using drift to step on it. The guide also gives strategies for the Silver Coin Challenge, where most coins can be obtained by sticking to the course. It suggests using the quick turn technique before the pond, and cutting into sharp corners with drifts. The Zador's Zone boss battle strategy involves staying close behind the boss, and using dash balloons to overtake on shortcuts. It suggests maintaining a distance from the boss and collecting dash balloons, then using them to overtake on shortcuts. Also explains that it is effective to use missile balloons and the dash. The strategy involves getting 1 missile balloon after starting, temporarily giving way to the boss, collecting 2 missiles, and using the homing missile to overtake from the inside. Finally, use the dash balloons to create a gap. The next page continues the Diddy Kong Racing Strategy Guide, focusing on the Snow Zone and Tropical Zone boss battles. For the Snow Zone first battle, the guide emphasizes utilizing jump techniques by pressing down on the 3D stick during a jump to shift the vehicle's center of gravity, increasing jump distance. The second battle suggests using dash balloons found mid-course to gain an advantage, recommending players grab 2 in quick succession before a straightaway. In the Tropical Zone, the first battle strategy revolves around missiles and dashes to close the gap, avoiding the bomb and using item balloons to overtake. The second battle highlights the use of guided missiles, dashes, and item balloons in that order. The guide advises players to focus on collecting specific items, to strategically outmaneuver the boss. The next page continues the Diddy Kong Racing Strategy Guide, now covering the Dragon Zone and Timber Island boss battles. For the Dragon Zone, the guide advises players to avoid obstacles in the first battle and use low-altitude flight to dodge dragonfire. During the second lap, players should aim straight for the cave entrance to shorten the distance. For the second battle, low-altitude flight is key to dodging the increased fireballs. It also suggests using the 2 available dash balloons. A shortcut near the starting point is highlighted, recommending players aim for the wind turbine and either fly directly through it or skim the ground. Moving on to Timber Island, the guide emphasizes that clearing all dash plates is crucial for defeating Wizpig. Correctly executing drifts and jumps is also important. The guide offers a breakdown of key points, including taking the initial corner from the inside and staying in the middle of the course after exiting. The guide emphasizes proper weight shifting on jumps. The last of the 3 dash plates need to be drifted over. This page dives into strategies for Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu on the N64, specifically focusing on how to acquire 2 difficult abilities: wide-angle hitting and mastering the knuckleball. The page details how to acquire these skills through in-game events, including choosing "I'm bored, let's practice" when prompted, or having a young coach with a high evaluation offer to teach you. It specifically mentions a character named Abata Senpai, teaching a special Avatar Ball 53 knuckleball after practice, which changes direction downwards, but halves the original amount of the change. The page also mentions that there is a chance that the probability of acquiring the wide-angle hitting ability is low. The page then shows several in-game scenarios and comments relating to skill acquisition through training and events, mentioning the importance of coaching evaluation and training routines, and recommending players choose the training methods depending on what abilities they want to improve. Finally, the article discusses that when you are tired, you should do things like shadow pitching for pitchers, and for players who do field work, practice swinging without the ball, noting that you should always pay attention to the manager's evaluation. The next page features Powerful Pro Baseball 98 Opening Pacific League Edition, with a focus on strategies and player acquisition. The page includes screenshots from the game and comments on the draft results of the Pacific League, comparing it to the Central League. It mentions the absence of incidents such as player data loss that occurred in the Central League draft. The article features a quote from baseball critic Magician O, who predicts an exciting season with balanced teams. The article mentions the Pacific League draft saw the selection of 156 players. It comments on the high competition among players, and that there were fewer initial applicants to the Pacific League. However, it rose significantly. The page also provides information on how players were selected, and the random nature of the selection process. It notes pitchers were chosen based on stamina, and that the posting system was used for players wanting to be nominated. Several passwords are listed to unlock special players. The page promotes the next page that features the player list. The next page features player lists for various baseball teams in the Powerful Pro Baseball 98 Opening Pacific League Edition game. It includes lists for the Seibu Lions, Nippon Ham Fighters, Oryx Blue Wave, Fukuoka Daiei Hawks, Chiba Lotte Marines, and Kintetsu Buffaloes. For each team, the lists provides the player's position, name, and the name of the person who submitted them. There are also sections featuring reader opinions and feedback regarding the game, including requests for improvements and new features, such as enhancing the player creation process and adding more player abilities. Additionally, there is information about upcoming events and contests related to the Powerful Pro Baseball series, including details on how to participate and win prizes. The page promotes reader interaction with the game. This page is an advertisement for Chomajin Ayuden Wataru, Macheko Monster, a simulation game where you raise over 100 types of mon pets. The gameplay involves obtaining mon pets by pouring water on seeds found on the map. These seeds can be located in various environments, like forests and swamps, and the type of mon pet that hatches depends on where the seed was obtained. You care for your mon pets by monitoring their physical condition and mood through icons. The game features icons that indicate when a mon pet is thirsty, hungry, bored, or angry. By meeting their needs, you can help your mon pets evolve. The game also allows for communication and trading between players using a communication cable, and even the ability to combine mon pets. When you combine them at Himiko's facility, it can result in the birth of rare mon pets. The next page delves into the Pokemon trading card game, focusing on status condition strategies in Pokémon battles. It features tips and tricks for trainers, including advice on moves that induce sleep, paralysis, confusion, and burns. The article highlights specific Pokémon and moves like Charizard and Clefairy, and tactics around confusion and paralysis, suggesting moves such as Confuse Ray and Thunder Wave, while also mentioning how key Pokémon can be caught with electricity. The page then shows a tactic using Electrode and Jolteon to paralyze an opponent and then use Attack and win. This page covers tips and tricks for leveling up Clefairy in Pokémon Red and Blue. It includes advice on when to evolve Clefairy at level 35 using a Moonstone. The article recommends items such as taurine, protein, iron, and calcium to increase the Pokémon's stats. It also suggests moves like Blizzard, Hyper Beam, Thunderbolt, Psychic, and Mimic. The page concludes with a section highlighting other games. The next page features an interview with Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokémon, and Nei Yuki. The interview discusses Tajiri's early experiences with gaming, including playing arcade games like Space Invaders and Xevious for hours. He mentions spending a lot of time in game centers, even to the point of cutting his finger and bleeding while playing Xevious. He also talks about how he used to customize arcade machines and his love for arcade games, saying he once aimed to score 1 million points on Xevious. Tajiri reflects on how arcade games influenced him and his desire to create his own games. He also talks about how the design of arcade games, like the separation of enemies in the sky and on the ground in Xevious, was innovative. The screenshots on this page include Xevious and a screenshot of Space Invaders. This page features Famimaga 64's reader rankings. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time holds the top spot for the second consecutive month. Puyo Puyo Sun 64 is in second place. Yoshi's Story is third. The page highlights Diddy Kong Racing, which jumped to fourth place. The blurb describes it as a unique racing game developed by Rare. The ranking includes games such as Famista 64, The Provisional Pocket Monsters, Mother 3, and Zero X. There is also Pikachu Genki Daichu. The table lists the top 20 games, their previous and current rankings, specifications, and points. The table includes release dates and prices where available. The note at the bottom mentions that the rankings are based on 1,000 questionnaires collected in November. It also explains the symbols used in the table, and that N64DD refers to the Nintendo 64 disk drive, SFC is the Super Famicom, and GB is Game Boy. The next page features reader reviews and rankings from 97 for Game Boy and 64 titles. On the Game Boy side, it covers titles like Konami GB Collection Volume 1, Game Boy Gallery 2, Oyasatsu Quiz Mogu Mogu Q, Game de Hacken, Tamagotchi 2, Purikura Pocket, and Animaru Breeder. For N64, it highlights Bomberman 64 and Power League 64, including readers' opinions. For Bomberman 64, one reviewer praises the 4-player battles and 3D graphics. The other user of Bomberman 64 states that the multiplayer is fun, but sometimes frustrating. A reviewer of Game de Hacken Tamagotchi 2 is frustrated that their Tamagotchi keeps dying and they cannot work out how to raise it. The page also lists next month's featured games, including J-League Dynamite Soccer 64, Diddy Kong Racing, and GQ World Soccer 3. The page also advertises the next issue's content. Finally, there's an invitation for readers to send in their opinions on games using postcards for a chance to win a Famimaga 64 special phone card. This page reveals the monthly sales rankings for games from September 29th to October 26th. Game de Hacken! Tamagotchi 2 for the Game Boy has dethroned Pokémon to take the top spot. Pocket Monsters falls to second place in the rankings. Bomberman 64 remains consistent on the N64. And J-League 11 Beat 1997 enters at 13th. The top games sold are listed in a table. Game de Hacken! Tamagotchi 2 sold 246,830. Pocket Monsters sold 136,380. Bomberman 64 sold 53,550. And GQ World Soccer 3 sold 16,100. The bottom of the page features the hardware sales rankings, with PlayStation leading, followed by Game Boy, Sega Saturn, Nintendo 64, and Super Famicom. There is also a section discussing the sales of GQ World Soccer 3, noting the J-League's consistent popularity. A small screenshot shows the bug and fish type Tamagotchi that can be raised in the game. The next page starts a new corner in RGB Maniac and informs of a character submission contest. Readers are encouraged to send in their original character designs based on characters appearing in Nintendo games. The rules state that submissions must include the character's name and the game they appear in, and are instructed to send the submissions to the Character Contest Magokoro to Kimi address. The page also features fan art and illustrations, including artwork featuring couples from various games, a collection of characters, a costume design inspired by Super Famicom and 64 designs, and character art for Duran from Seiken, likely Secret of Mana, and fan artwork of the popular games including Tales of Phantasia. The Maniac Gallery section showcases fan art submissions with a focus on humorous and expressive pieces. One submission is of the character Celica from the game Lufia 2, Rise of the Sinistrals. Also mentioned is fan art inspired by Shin Megami Tensei If, Mother 2, and a character design eating a lot of Otoro, fatty tuna. This page is titled Next Door Maniac and features reader submissions about their gaming experiences and opinions. The overall theme of the page is to share personal thoughts and feelings related to different video games and characters. One reader expresses excitement for the upcoming PS version of Star Ocean, the second story, and recalls expressing his hope to play this on the Nintendo 64, and now has to wait. There's a humorous take on the character Yuffie from Final Fantasy V2, noting that the reader actually likes her, despite other players disliking her for stealing money and items. A reader in Maniac 4 Panel Comic draws a short comic about the game Dangard Ace. And another reader expresses mixed feelings towards the characters Rock and Setzer from an unidentified game, questioning if their relationship is bad. There are also comments about finding the characters in Ark the Lad 2 to be well designed, and a submission about Tales of Destiny. A reader talks about their recent experiences with fighting games, particularly when someone interrupts to play. Some random thoughts and drawings are included, such as Pikachu and Hawkeye from the Seiken Densetsu series, and a reader wonders what kind of books Hallie Deer reads. The page concludes with a note regarding the submission deadline for the next issue. The next page highlights reader submissions, focused on original RPG characters and gaming habits. A section titled Original RPG Mania discusses the creation of original characters for RPGs, with one reader suggesting the ability to customize facial features, hairstyles, clothing, age, gender, and jobs. Another reader desires a strategy meeting feature in games, allowing players to ask questions and receive answers. Several reader-submitted characters are showcased, including Kane Lloyd, a 15-year-old male bodyguard, and Bilberry, a woman with a shotgun. A reader wonders about the number of original characters others have created, and their personalities. The Ohagaki Mania no Sono section features reader comments on gaming experiences, including the title decoration by a reader from Hokkaido. A reader expresses joy at buying Umihara Kawase for SFC, and asks about the average daily gaming time. Another reader mentions the death of Gunpei Yokoi and shares his thoughts on his contributions to gaming. The page concludes with solutions to a previous issue's questions, a call for submissions for the next issue, and a comment about the Star Ocean series. This page is titled FCB Maniac, and it's a gallery of reader-submitted artwork based on the theme Falling Leaves. A reader from Ehime Prefecture drew a scene with a character wearing clothing more suited to warmer weather. Another reader from Eikarichi Prefecture thinks that the outfits from Pokemon are too cute. One reader from Shizuoka Prefecture likes the Galoof character dancing in the background. A character from Romancing Saga is depicted. A reader from Hyogo Prefecture feels a sense of promise in the winter scenery. Another reader from Akarikyomori Prefecture wonders what to do if the main character doesn't notice something. There is also a picture of Ash Ketchum and Pikachu. One reader from Gifu Prefecture enjoys roasting sweet potatoes over fallen leaves. A reader from Tokushima Prefecture misses hearing the roasted sweet potatoes vendors call. One reader from Saitama drew Duran from the Vision of Escaflowne. A reader from Osaka Prefecture feels that Don from Domdom Gashimushi Daibuken has a lot of material for jokes. A reader from Osaka Prefecture mentions that the season suddenly turned to winter. The page also contains fan art and comments, and a section called Museum of the Heart. A reader talks about the manga series Touch. Another reader recommends the anime Mobile Suit Gundam, the 08 THMS team. At the end of the page, it has the address for submissions. It also mentions that the theme for the March issue will be Dress Up. This page is a magazine spread with news and information about upcoming events, products, and promotions. It begins with the phrase, Journal News, offering information on recommended goods and industry trends. It highlights drinks and vending machines and suggests keeping up with the latest trends. The page announces a Harvest Moon GB advertising campaign featuring the Maeda sisters, Ai and Akishima Maeda, who are 14 and 12 years old respectively. They are well-known child actors. The sisters will be promoting the Game Boy title. CF commercials were also produced. There's a screenshot of the Game Boy game Harvest Moon GB. The text states that the core gameplay is the same as the Super Famicom version and notes the convenience of playing it on the go. The page also highlights Pokemon Hour, a radio program airing every Sunday. It features information about the games, anime, behind-the-scenes stories, and listener participation segments. The voice actor for Meowth, Inukyuko Inuyama, hosts the programs. The last image shows the two actors playing Pikachu at a table. The next page has a variety of Pokemon-related merchandise news. It starts with fully painted plastic model Pokemon kit that are pre-painted and easy to assemble. The models include Charizard, Pikachu, and Dragonite and will cost 480 yen each. Future releases include Venusaur, Blastoise, Nidoking, and Mewtwo. Also mentioned are fully painted plastic model kits. There's also a keychain pitch receiver Pikachu that lights up when you get a call. The yellow one is 1.5 GHz compatible, while the black one is 800 MHz compatible, and they both glow red when receiving a call. For Game Boy fans, there's the GB Pocket Light Up, a lens that magnifies the screen by 1.5 times and lights up, priced at 2,480 yen. On the page are presents to be won. One is the Pokemon kit, and the other is the Light Boy Pocket. Also highlighted is the Game Boy Pokemon CD album, featuring all 151 Pokemon cries. And finally, a Pokemon Art mini album is available for 1,500 yen, with a booklet of drawing instructions. This page features the latest handheld games and Pokemon prizes. First up is the Mame Brup game series from Bandai, featuring a vibration function. The first game is a base fishing game called Boruto Fishing, and in December, the arcade hit Train Go will also release. The games sell for 1,980 yen each. In other news, the Ultimate EVA plastic model kit from Bandai is highlighted, and those who buy the Evangelion kit can get hold of a special poster. The Pokemon merchandise includes big-size Pikachu plushies, room lamps, soft key holders, special selection with 10 varieties, and Nozokuze key holders where you can peek and see Pokemon. A giveaway is running for all of these items. The next page is titled Super Famicom Hour. Let's check this out in December. This section focuses on Super Famicom broadcasts and events. There's an Ars study program where players are invited into a mystery zone with voice-linked segments. It runs in 2 parts during December. Also, Satella de Picross offers a Picross event throughout December, challenging players' observation and associative skills. The Cooking Pond segment teaches cooking recipes. Also highlighted is a memory pack update for Derby Stallion 96, which includes new thoroughbreds and breeding mares. There's also some game and media advertisements. The page also contains a section to tell people where to send their entries for prize draws, writing what they want to win, and a message. There are advertisements for Leela CD by Yoko Takahashi, Long Kiss Goodnight video, Revolutionary Girl Utena Apocalypse, 4LD, Waverant 64 Original Soundtrack, CD, Photon Volume 1, Ons Baka, LD River King, 3 Official Guidebook, Replicant Book, If I Was an Angel, CD by Miharu Tatebayashi. This page is an application form and reader survey for Famimaga 64 magazine. Readers can win game software by completing the survey. The survey covers the reader's school or occupation, age, gender, and favorite magazines, as well as the game consoles they own, want to buy, and games they are interested in. Readers are asked to rate the N64 console based on various aspects like character, music, and originality. There are also questions about the Nintendo Power System. The page includes examples of how to fill out the form correctly and lists the winners of the November gift campaign, mentioning games like Bomberman. The winners' names and prefectures are listed. The next page is a postcard application form for Famimaga 64 magazine, soliciting readers' opinions and preferences to win a prize. It asks for the sender's address, name, and phone number. Readers are invited to write what they want as a gift for the January issue. It lists 3 Nintendo 64 games: J-League 11 Beat 1997, Puyo Puyo Sun 64, and Heiwa Pachinko World 64. Readers are encouraged to select from these games as their gift choice. This page is a questionnaire response form from Famimaga 64 magazine. Readers are asked to rank their favorite games from 1 to 16. The bottom of the form contains space for readers to write their thoughts and opinions on recently played games and the magazine itself. There is also a dotted line indicating where to cut the form. The next page features a reader's giveaway with a plethora of games for the N64, SFC, and GB. There are 25 N64 games, 1 SFC game, and 19 GB games to be won. The page has information on how to enter the contest. Several N64 titles are highlighted with accompanying screenshots. These include Pro Mahjong Kiwami 64, featuring authentic Mahjong gameplay, allowing players to face off against professional players. 64 Uzumu, a sumo wrestling game where players can train their wrestlers and use various techniques. Diddy Kong Racing, with races across various terrains and modes, featuring items and a variety of vehicles. Wild Choppers, a shooting game where players pilot a combat helicopter and complete missions. The page also shows release dates and prices for each of the highlighted games. The page explains that titles featured with a number are part of the reader's present on page 82. Readers should send in their postcard by page 83 and get the opportunity to win the games. This page highlights several Nintendo 64 games. First up is Dual Heroes from Hudson, a fighting action game. This game features characters with a tokusatsu, special effects, hero style. A unique characteristic is that the AI opponents change, requiring different strategies to win. Next, there's Famista 64 from Namco, a baseball game with improved graphics. The game emphasizes team building, allowing players to create their ultimate team. A key feature is 3D stick controls for batting and pitching. Snowboard Kids from Atlas is a sports game where you can enjoy snowboarding races with 5 cute characters. Courses vary from snowy mountains to grasslands and deserts. Players can perform tricks and customize their style. Heiwa Pachinko World 64 from Amtech/Shui System is a pachinko simulation game. The game features realistic polygon graphics and various pachinko machines. Chameleon Twist from Japan System Supply is an action game. The game's main feature is the chameleon's tongue. You can use it to catch enemies, swing across gaps, and eat fish. Finally, Top Gear Rally from Kemco is a racing game. Players can choose from 10 rally cars and race on various courses. The game includes dynamic weather effects, and car handling is influenced by road conditions. The ad mentions driver's view with an exclamation mark, and impressive power, and the best view. This page showcases more upcoming titles for the Nintendo 64. First is Let's Smash, a tennis game developed by Hudson. It features fully polygonal characters with customizable outfits. The game is slated for release next spring, with the price yet to be determined. And next is Aero Gauge from ASC2, a futuristic racing game. It features 5 selectable vehicles and high-speed races exceeding 1,000 km per hour. The courses are set in floating environments, with tube-like sections and walls. 2-player battles are possible with a split-screen mode. Dual Heroes from Culture Brain is a fighting game with 8-headed deformed characters in SD mode and normal proportion characters in real mode. Players can strengthen their characters with items. Hexen from GameBank is a first-person shooter game where players explore dungeons and fight monsters, either solo or in cooperative mode. Players can choose from 3 character classes: fighter, mage, or priest. Virtual Pro Wrestling 64 from Asmik is a wrestling game with over 1,000 moves. Tag team matches and 4-player battles are available. Lastly, Hyper Olympic and Nagano 64 from Konami is a sports game featuring 12 Olympic events, including speed skating, and the Nagano Olympics as an officially licensed title with the halfpipe event from the Nagano Olympics. The next page features 6 Nintendo 64 games. First, SimCity 2000 from Imagineer, a simulation game where you aim to create a wonderful city. Next, Uchan Nanchan no Ono no Challenger. Denryu Irera Bu, from Hudson, an action game where you navigate a maze with an electrified rod. Third is Yoshi's Story from Nintendo, an action game where you rescue Baby Bowser in a picture book world, featuring stages set in silver and fantastic environments. New Japan Pro Wrestling. Toucan Road Brave Spirits, from Hudson, a wrestling game that authentically recreates wrestler movements, techniques, and stage presence. NBA in the Zone 98 from Konami, a sports game capturing the excitement of the NBA, with stadium announcements, passionate announcers, and intense basketball action. Last, Mina de Tamagotchi World, from Bandai, a board game where you raise Tamagotchis. This page is a catalog spread featuring Game Boy and Nintendo 64 titles. On the Game Boy side, Collection Pocket offers a variety of minigames, including Battle Racer Circuit, Akumajo Dracula, Dark Knight Prelude, Castlevania Legends, features a beautiful vampire hunter as the protagonist in a side-scrolling action game. Trump Collection GB includes 5 card games like Daifugo, Speed, and Poker. For the Nintendo 64, Hyperspatial Niter Pro Baseball King 2 allows player editing and features stadium variations. Fighting Cup is a fighting game with a new system where victory depends on meeting specific conditions. Super Budaman is a shooting game where you control a Budaman to destroy bombs. The next page features a variety of Game Boy games. Sanrio Uranai Party allows players to input their birthday and blood type to determine their fortune and compatibility with Sanrio characters like Hello Kitty and Batsmaru. Metaro is an RPG where you collect and strengthen Metaros by swapping out parts. The player aims to steal parts. Purikura Pocket 2. Boyfriend Remodeling Operation is a dating simulator where the player, as a high school girl, can customize her boyfriend. Players can make choices about what to do. Konami GB Collection Volume 2 includes 4 classic Konami games: Twinbee, Ganbare Goemon, Motocross Maniacs, and Gradius. Kairu no Tame Nikane wa Naru shows a stage boss. Pocket Bomberman is a side-scrolling action game with platforming elements. The player controls Bomberman, jumping through stages. Ganbare Goemon, Kurofune Tuno Nazo, is the latest in the Goemon series for Game Boy. Players can choose from Goemon, Ebisumaru, and Sasuke. This page features several upcoming Game Boy titles. Chomujin Ayuden Wataru. Maze Gate Monster is a simulation game from Banpresto, where you raise monsters, combining them to create new ones. Bugs Bunny Collection is an action game from Kemco with 2 games in one: Bugs Bunny and Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle. Bokuju Monogatari GB, a farming simulation game where you raise livestock and expand your farm. You can also trade animals with friends via a link cable. Star Sweep is a puzzle game where you match blocks of the same color and symbol to clear them. Karamucho no Daijiken is an action game starring characters based on popular snacks. You can power up with snacks and travel by ball when you have a specific item. New Chess Master is a chess game. It features 16 difficulty levels and a user-friendly interface. Finally, Wario Land 2 and Donkey Kong Land 2 are highlighted as upcoming titles, with a glimpse of in-game action. The next page focuses on J-League 11 Beat 1997 for the Nintendo 64, showcasing a special technique called Ultra Technic for playing in a snowy stadium. It details how to access this feature by entering Hudson Cup in tournament mode and then winning the tournament under snowy conditions. This unlocks the White Stadium for use in other modes. The page also highlights that the ground is covered in snow, affecting ball movement, and provides tips on how to shoot effectively in these conditions, such as running players into position to stop the ball. Also mentions the key to scoring high is aiming high. This page is all about J-League 11 Beat 1997 for the Nintendo 64. It details how to unlock the Japanese national team by winning in J-League mode. You can edit the team, set tournament rules, and even play against international teams. The page also reveals secrets for Fighter Destiny, Puyo Puyo Sun 64, detailing how to select hidden characters. By holding start while selecting a character, you can unlock special abilities like Carbuncle for Arbile or Satan for Schizo. Other secrets include character swaps and random character selection. It also gives instructions on how to do this, where to find the character select screen, and what buttons to press and hold, and describes the effect when performing the secret. Additionally, it gives gameplay tips for Bomberman 64, showing how to interfere with an opponent's respawn by occupying the respawn point. It also highlights the importance of avoiding the water. The next page, titled Everyone's Message Board, starts with messages from readers regarding Wonder Project J2, Pokemon, and Star Fox 64. It then delves into Game Boy Trick Collection Volume 1, featuring Konami's GB games. The page details power-up commands for Gradius on Game Boy, giving the button sequence required while paused to equip missiles, lasers, and a barrier. It also shares a sound test unlock for Contra on Game Boy, detailing the button sequence needed after the title screen appears, which allows you to listen to the game's music. For Ganbare Goemon, Neo Momoyama Bakufu Odori on Nintendo 64, the page shows how to reach the Great Sea by using Sasuke's flying technique to pass a barrier, then swimming in the sea. Eventually, the background will be replaced by the sky, and Sasuke will fall. Finally, it presents a secret for J-League 11 Beat 1997 on Nintendo 64, where entering a code on the title screen unlocks a too-strong difficulty level for calm opponents. This page, titled Ultra Technique Collection, is seeking submissions from readers for ultimate gaming tips. Submit your name, with furigana, age, address, and phone number, along with a detailed explanation of your technique. Tips are ranked, and prizes are awarded accordingly. Gold coin, 10,000 yen plus special commemorative goods, Famimaga 64. Silver coin, 5,000 yen plus special commemorative goods, Famimaga 64. Bronze coin, 3,000 yen plus special commemorative goods, Famimaga 64. Wood coin, 1,000 yen worth of book coupons, and explains that submissions are welcomed and that submissions are accepted 24 hours a day via fax. The page also features several game tips. Bomberman 64. Exploding the enemy's hideout. In the story mode's Blue Resort level, bomb the buildings with windows to cause enemies to flee, potentially gaining items. Game Boy. Mario Wario. Turn Mario into Wario. In the helmet mode, get a score below 100 points, and then select Retry to turn Mario into Wario. Ganbare Goemon. Neo Momoyama Bakufu Odori. How to reintroduce the Small Judgment Gods. After acquiring the fire-based Small Judgment technique, offer 5 Small Judgments at the money box. Game Boy games. Game Boy Gallery 2. Erasing data. On the title screen, press up, up, down, down, left, left, right, right in sequence to erase all save data. Changing frames. While playing a game, pause it or reach the Game Over screen to bring up the menu and press the B button to change the frame style. The next page is an advertisement for the Game Boy magazine, a specialized magazine for Game Boy games. It highlights upcoming new game information and is slated for release on February 5th. The magazine features guides for Game Boy games and promises to be packed with content. Featured content includes a special feature on Pokemon Gold and Silver. There is also content for a center planning section, and a complete collection of information on Pokemon Red and Green. There is a number 1 segment where the price is yet to be determined. Content for Nintendo All-Star, Daron 2 Smash Bros. And lastly, a 97 latest report on Dragon Quest monsters. Terry's Wonderland. This page is an advertisement for Game no Ayumikata magazine Kuryaku Dai Gijutsuin, which translates to Game Walkthrough Magazine Strategy Compendium. The page boasts about the magazine's comprehensive strategy guides, claiming they cover a wide range of games with detailed maps, charts, and data. They emphasize that the magazine supports 107 games released between September and October, with the release date set for November 28th. The magazine features strategy guides for Final Fantasy II, International, Super Robot Wars, F Devil Summoner, Soul Hackers, Front Mission, Namco Museum Encore, Dead or Alive. The ad highlights that the magazine is 420 pages long and costs 790 yen. It claims to offer detailed walkthroughs, maps, and character stats to help players fully enjoy their games. Please provide the text you would like me to summarize. This page lists a variety of Nintendo 64, Super Famicom, and Game Boy games, including Yuchanan Chan's Flame Challenger, Arrow Gauge, and more. A release schedule for February and March games is also provided. Console and peripheral information is included, like the Game Boy Pocket and Nintendo 64 disk drive. Nintendo Power features games like Heisei Shin, Onigashima, and re-releases of titles like Doraemon. The page previews the next issue, promising an interview, Christmas special, Yoshi strategies, and Space World 97 insights. The next page is a full-page advertisement. It's a campaign for a 64 Great Sumo Wrestling telephone card featuring a sumo wrestler design. 500 winners will receive this card. The advertisement details how to enter the campaign by submitting a filled-out questionnaire from the game's packaging to bottom up by January 15, 1998. The next page advertises the Nintendo 64 game, 64 Great Sumo Wrestling, and a special campaign. The grand prize is a gift certificate worth 100,000 yen, and 5 winners will receive it. The second prize includes a sumo stable tour and Chanko hot pot experience for 10 groups, totaling 20 people. The ad promotes a contest to win these prizes. This page is a full-page advertisement for Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64. It features the game's characters and highlights its adventure mode. The game was set to release on November 21st, with a suggested retail price of 6,800 yen. The ad also mentions it supports the Rumble Pack.